What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I am getting Black Myth Wukong. It's the first game of it's still kind of the summer, but it's also kind of the fall. I've been very much looking forward to this. This is the game that kicks us off in this period, and I cannot wait. So this is a video series I do where I talk about an upcoming game, and generally, I'll change the opening of these videos. Generally, I talk about why I'm getting a select game. I oftentimes don't do this for games that I'm not getting, but if you guys want that, I could definitely do that as well. Black Myth Wukong. This is a game, and we've talked about this before kind of in individual videos when I've gone over the news and stuff. It's built. And a lot of games I get more excited for as the game gets closer, right? Like that's obvious if you've watched enough of me. But, for a game like this, I think it's a game that I just never really almost gave a chance to. Like, I knew the type of game that this was. I had seen the early trailers, and it kind of always had that mysticism around it where the game was like never going to come out. I've been saying that actually for years, right? Where it's like the game's always looked cool and I have general interest, but it's always just felt like a game that never will actually make it out. Like, will never, actually release. But I've never had that thought with like a Stellar Blade or something like that before. So I thought, okay, let's be a little bit more fair to Black Myth and let's, try to catch up on it, look up this stuff and how's the game, progressing. Overall, this game looks absolutely incredible. Now, there is still the kind of concern of can they kind of put it all together? And, we've had previews to kind of help us out on that. I think my worry of like, is it actually a game? Is it actually like a complete game? I think that's put to bed, right? I definitely think there's been enough talk. There's been enough evidence. The game is a full game. It's going to be, 20, 25 hours, whatever it might be. It's got, it takes an inspiration from different, kind of genres and different things like that. It's a game, right? The only thing that, in terms of the concern that people kind of go back and forth with it is it more of like a boss gauntlet, like a boss rush challenge? Because, they say 80 plus bosses. I think there's like 160 plus enemies. So right there, you're thinking, well, half and half, like there's going to be a lot of enemy variety, which is definitely good. I want that, by the way, right? You hear all that stuff. The previews that people say is, well, hey, we played a few hours and we fought like 10 bosses. It's just boss after boss after boss. And honestly, it's something I've thought about quite a bit where it's like, okay, the two different like ways for this to go, right, is it's more of like a Elden Ring type, but it's not, right? Because it's more linear, it's more funneled through, right? But it's full. It's full. It's got very nice pacing from enemy to enemy and then enemy to boss, right? Like that's one way this game can go. Or it's still also linear. There's very few breaks and it's just boss after boss after boss. So how do I think about like either of those? To be honest, I think I would take either. I would prefer the first one, but if we get the second one, I don't think I'd be as mad as I at least have seen other people be. And I've seen that even in the comments, right? Where it's like, is there anything inherently wrong with just facing boss after boss? Well, I think that would just fully rely on the variety of the boss and the gameplay. Like, gameplay would have to... gameplay is king for a game like this anyway, right? But gameplay's got to be so strong. You got to feel like you're constantly evolving. You got to feel like you're kind of using different tools in your arsenal versus each boss. And then the boss has to kind of present something different, each one. Technically, that has to happen both times, right? It's just the first time, you also have enemies and enemy variety that kind of calms you down, right? It's still strategic. You still have to maybe think about it, but you're doing stuff. Then you face a boss. You get this rush of adrenaline. Then you kind of cool off, go through some enemies. And, again, from what I think it's going to be more of the first one. I want it to be more of the first one, but I also think that is what it's going to be like. I don't think you get 20 plus hours just from bosses. They've also talked about, like, there will be times to go off the beaten path, and sometimes you'll get like collectibles or things like that. And there is story. Like, this game is inspired, obviously, as you might know, right? And there's going to be those story elements of it as well. So I think it's going to be a little bit more structured than even somebody like me is giving it credit for right now, right? That's really it. Like, that's really the biggest concern, and I think it really stems just from not having seen too much about it kind of being a mystery for a good amount of its time. But the game looks outrageous. Like, visually, it looks outrageous, but also the game just looks like a blast. There's been comparisons to like the Jedi series again and Stellar Blade and all that stuff, and I love that style. I can get down for an Elden Ring and FromSoft and stuff. Now, I struggle with those. Me personally, I struggle with those games. If it's more of like perfect dodging, perfect parrying that we get in like a Stellar Blade or Jedi with like different stances, I guess maybe not, but how like the style of the Jedi games go and of Stellar Blade, right? If it's like that, and that has been the comparison, oh my God, I cannot wait. I really like. I think that would be extremely exciting because I think those games have done it so freaking well. And I always like to throw in as well, in terms of the release time and like how things are looking. Well, I joke about it a lot, I talk about it a lot, but truly, you look at August, and August 20th is this game. This really is the kickoff. You got Visions of Mana after it, Star Wars Outlaws after it. September, you got pretty much every game under the sun of Astro and Lollipop Chainsaw and Harry Potter, and it's previously Stalker, but that was delayed. You got a lot of games coming after it, but really this is that first game of August, and it's late. It's late. There's not a lot coming out in the beginning of August, but this is that first, to me, huge game in August to kick off the fall period. So, it's kind of an easy buy. We've been in a drought. There hasn't been all that much, especially, if you didn't get Shadow of the Erdtree, right? You haven't gotten anything in a while. It's been a quiet few months. I think just out of, hey, I'm looking for a new game, and this is a new game, and it looks really good. Then obviously there's all of the other stuff we just talked about, right? But I think the placement of it and it kind of being this big kickoff game, I think that gives it more hype, like in my mind. So I'm ready. I've been ready, I would say, for a good month, to be honest. Like, you can tell. Go back and you can say, oh, Alex all of a sudden is talking about Black Myth more. Yeah, right around that time is when I started, to get more excited. So I think this game has the potential to be extremely good. I think even at like the worst end, this is going to be a pretty good game. But I think at its best, oh my God, I really think you could be getting a game of the year type game if it's at its best, right? If it's as intricate as it can be and deep, and if the combat just like nails it, I think this game can be really good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.